Oh, hello, everyone. It's Susie here. Now, let's have a look at this market today. It is showing quite a bit of weakness, I've got to say, and it looks like we might see some further weakness on this date of the 26th of September. Technically, it doesn't look very good. Bitcoin came off 112,000. It really needs to hold about 107,000. Otherwise, we're looking at the next level down between sort of potentially 101 to 107,000. Now, I don't know why it's showing so much weakness. Clearly, the whales have been selling a bit, and so is retail. But the backdrop fundamentally is very, very bullish. So I will have a look at the technicals, and I'll give you an update on those technicals today as well. But yeah, it's just yeah, obviously the sentiment is bearish. When you look at the fear and greed index, it's at 32 to 34. And, clearly it's a bit of the aftermath, right? The Fed cut rates. They got too long coming into the rate cut. They're probably expecting a bit higher, more rate cuts or larger rate cut, I should say, on the 16th and 17th, but they didn't get it. And so it's clearly the aftermath of that rate cut. Also, GDP figures came out yesterday, and they're at 3.8%, which I just don't believe that for the second quarter. The first quarter they were actually negative 0.2. And people are querying all sorts of figures. The unemployment figure, the labour force figures, the GDP figures just don't look right. There is no way the US is growing 3.8%. So, when in doubt in markets, you either stay out or the market tends to sell off. So we may see a bit more of a sell-off here. I will look at the technicals to confirm that, but we just have to hold, what we've got and just wait. This is all short-term machinations in a bigger picture where I believe the market will be much higher in the next year or 2 years. And these things are sent to test us all, right? We're holding, investment portfolios. They are sent to testers. Markets don't go up in straight lines, as you know. And, again, you just need to hold what you have and take the bigger view that in the backdrop of this, fundamentally everything is pro crypto. There's some stories out there about China. China is starting to open up cryptocurrency. We're seeing more Chinese corporations starting to buy cryptocurrencies, which I thought was quite interesting in itself, which we'll cover in the news stories as well. But currently the market cap is 3.633 trillion. Volume is 185 bill, quite large. Liquidity is still very good at 11 bill, and that shows that there's not, this is going down very slightly. It's not going down in a big rush where, liquidity all of a sudden is like 5 bill from 9 or 10 bill, where people are actually taking money out of the market in a big way. So Bitcoin is currently 109,054, down 2.5%. Ethereum is not doing as well as Bitcoin. It broke below that 4,000, which was quite significant. And it did look like that the other day when we had a look at the charts. It looked a lot weaker than Bitcoin. And I think it will be weaker from here on in. XRP had a big rush of blood in the last couple of months. It's starting to look quite weak. It dropped below that 282 level, which was a level of support. And this thing, XRP, could potentially get down to about 250 in the next week or so if it doesn't hold clearly, if we see further weakness here. Binance again got through $1,000, has come off down to 938. We bought up some at 903. So, again, this is what markets do. And if you're invested in markets, you need to get used to the fact that, as I said before, they don't go up in one line. We wish they would, but clearly they don't do that because there's a lot of players in the market that are either bullish or bearish, and supply and demand. It's as simple as that. So Solana has broken down below $200 at 192.81. Dodge is at 22 cents. ADA looks very weak to me. Could go down lower from 76 cents. Tron is doing well, actually. It's the only coin in the market that's holding up at 33.5 cents. It hasn't moved an inch. Also, I have a look at my video for Tron. I did an investment analysis of Tron. I think it's an amazing story. Gave it a rating of 8.5 out of 10. Link, again, has been belted, and yet every day Link put on more and more clients. Fundamentally an amazing story. Avalanche is down quite a bit because it has had a fairly good performance in the last month or so, but again, the shorters have actually belted that. Also, let's have a look at anything else that we keep our eye on. Pepe is holding up quite well, considering it's a meme token at 40911. Today, also, there's some large option positions that are expiring on Deribit, and these are something like 22.3 billion, and 17 billion notional value are expiring with Bitcoin, and the put call ratio is 0.6, which means that the market is long, and that doesn't help. Okay, so the market's long with a strike price of about 112,000 to 111,000. And currently those longs are out of the money. They're actually losing money, okay? The pain level is 110,000, and we've got a current market at 109. So clearly those option positions have lost money. It's the biggest quarter end expiry that's been seen on Deribit. And we've also got a notional value of Ethereum of 5 billion, and that put to call ratio is 0.8, meaning that the market is long Ethereum as well. So there's 22 billion of longs that are expiring today, and the strike levels were 110 on Bitcoin and 3,800 on Ethereum. If we look at Ethereum, it's very close to that 3,800. Needs to go down another $94 for those options to be triggered, but it looks like they're going to lose money on those options given where the positions are of being long, right? Generally, as a rule. Certainly the pain level for the longs is 3,800. If they've obviously bought the call option on Ethereum, they're still in the money by $94. But on Bitcoin, they're out of the money because it's gone through that strike of 110, okay, because the market's at 109. So the Bitcoin options they're losing money on, and the Ethereum options are still in the money by $94. But with the expiry, they're probably, slightly out of the money by now. So that's going to be a big drag on this market, okay, and that doesn't surprise as well. As I said, fear and greed index has dropped to a 5-month low as Bitcoin gets down to 109,000. It's currently at 32 the last time I looked. And, again, we've got one of the important stories I wanted to bring out today was, Jizzy Holdings sets a $1 billion corporate treasury plan centered on Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Binance. And, this is a corporation in China, which, is starting to buy cryptocurrency. And it makes you wonder whether the Chinese are changing their stance on whether corporations in China can buy cryptocurrency, right? Jizzy Holdings approved a $1 billion crypto treasury plan focused on Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Binance, right? They are listed on the US stock exchange, and maybe that they're not, obviously they don't have properties, or they're not under Chinese regulation, but it's still the Chinese cohort that's buying into Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Binance, right? And I thought that was quite interesting because you've got to question yourself, will the Chinese change their stance on cryptocurrency? They made it illegal in 2021, and they stopped exchanges from opening up in 2021 and stopped the community, the Chinese population, from trading crypto. So again, we've got all these bullish stories happening, and yet the market technically looks quite weak, which is very strange. But I guess the bigger picture is eventually it's going to be no Bitcoin. There's going to be shortage supply of physical coin in the top 20, and that's going to basically drive this market. Okay, when we look at a 3 to 12 month view, and I thought that was interesting. There was a story here about, will China reverse its cryptocurrency ban? Jitsu Holdings $1 billion cryptocurrency reserve sparks debate. And, I think it's possible. I mean, Chinese have been long critics of crypto. They've been tough on their stance with crypto. They banned any exchanges. They outlawed ICOs. And, they basically made cryptocurrency trading illegal, right? But certainly this company, Jizzu Holding, is a Hangzhou-based electric vehicle firm, and has taken a step to signal a new chapter in Chinese relationships with the digital asset. And I think that's very interesting because, again, the Chinese, if they don't encapsulate or incorporate digital assets investing and the technology that digital assets bring, they're going to be seen to be left behind, right? The US is going full scale ahead, so is Europe and every other country in the world, and yet China will be seen left behind. The Jizu Holdings, the company said, the CEO said, it's a proactive step in our treasury management to safeguard and enhance long-term shareholder value. And I thought that was quite interesting. Also, there are electric vehicles, right, which is clean energy. So, there's a very nice nexus between electric vehicles and digital currency, particularly when we're talking about Bitcoin, which is actually actually mined, right? And there's a nice nexus between electric cars and the mining of Bitcoin. So after Jitsu US listed, they announced this corporate treasury of $1 billion in Binance, Ethereum, and I think it's interesting also they mentioned Binance, right? And we're seeing more Chinese organizations buying Binance because they know Binance, with obviously Changpeng Zhao, who founded Binance, but also Richard Teng, that have a high profile in China, being Chinese. It's interesting. We are seeing more people buying Binance as well, and I think that's going to really give support to the cryptocurrency of Binance, right? But again, once they announced this corporate treasury, their stock spiked 55% in pre-market on the Nasdaq, and I think this is very, very interesting. So again, you might question, will China change their stance on cryptocurrency? I believe they will. And if they do that, we're going to see potentially, 10% of a population of 1.4 billion invest in cryptocurrency from China. Many people believe that Mr. Powell should have rate cut more than 25 basis points. I believe he should have. Mr. Besant faults Powell for not signaling a 150 basis point rate cut by the year end, okay? He believes that things are very weak, that the data that's coming out of the US, doesn't make sense when you look at, 3.8% growth and yet unemployment's actually rising, right? Jobless claims are going up and it doesn't make a lot of sense. So many people in the Trump government believe that Jeremy Powell should have cut by at least 50 basis points this time, and another 50 basis points in October and November. And I actually believe that they should have, because I think there's a lot of weakness in Bitcoin. And as I said, the previous GDP figure for the US gross domestic product in the first quarter was actually negative 0.1%. And people are actually questioning, how can the GDP figure be at 3.8% this time round? Where's the growth coming from? It doesn't seem to be any growth coming from anywhere. And yet, they're printing a 3.8% growth figure. Certainly the NASDAQ and the equity market didn't believe it, because when these figures came out, the NASDAQ and the S&P 500 actually sold off. I take any figures coming out of the US with a grain of salt, honestly, because they just don't seem right when we look at the reality. Now, BlackRock executives say crypto ETF institutional adoption is still early. And I believe that, many people don't understand cryptocurrency. We've only got 5% Americans that invest in cryptocurrency. And the take-up rate for investing in cryptocurrency is very low when we compare it to Asia, right? I mean, if we look at Vietnam, 8% of people are investing in cryptocurrency in Vietnam. But certainly in the US, it's only 5%. And it is early days. And that's what I'm saying about the crypto market. It's still early days. And this market cap, is only 3.634 trill. It is nothing compared to bond markets of 250 trill and equity markets of about 220 trill, right? I mean, crypto has a long way to go. And, within a 5-year view, it's going to be a completely different story, okay? That's for sure. So, there's questions, why is the market selling off? Well, it certainly doesn't help when it breaks support levels, certainly from a technical point of view. But as I said, I think the derrick positions, which are very large, are influencing this market and where it's going at the moment in terms of the option positions, which are hugely, hugely large, of 22 bill. Also, Tether is raising cash, which is interesting. Tether will look probably to go on the US stock exchange under the NASDAQ. It has 105 billion in reserves and it raised cash, and it looks like it's signaling getting ready to go on the NASDAQ, okay? They did a private placement of 15 to 20 bill, which is very, very large. They certainly don't need the cash, but I think it's a primer for them to go on the NASDAQ, which is a great story for Tether, because even though they don't need the cash, they're going to get more cash, and they'll probably start investing in other projects in terms of crypto, okay? They're very interested in investing in things like OpenAI, SpaceX, DeFi, and even other crypto. And I think it's very interesting what they're doing. And, I think you're going to hear a lot more out of Tether. They could even take over a cryptocurrency exchange, okay? They want to expand and build a multi-sector empire after 20 billion of funding. And, keep an eye on those guys, because they could, take out other stable coins, their competitors, or they could take out other crypto. I think that's a big story. Also, Kraken completes a $500 million funding round, all eyes on IPO for 2026. We've seen Gemini do it, recently with an IPO where they were oversubscribed, and I think the share went roughly about $26 or something. And we're going to see, for sure, we're going to see Ripple come to the NASDAQ. We're going to see Binance come to the NASDAQ. We're going to see many, many exchanges start to do the same thing, so that they can get more funding into their balance sheets and then expand the crypto footprint globally. And I think, again, this is all bullish for cryptocurrency. Yes, the short-term machinations of charts technically look weak, but the bigger picture is bull. I've got to tell you that. It's absolute bull. And, we just have to hold our nerve, hold our positions. And if we get a good time to buy, say if Bitcoin, went down, another 20% or something, then we'd have to put our foot in the water and look to buy. Morgan Stanley to launch crypto asset allocation strategy. Again, I mentioned this the other day, this crowd was really against cryptocurrency, right? And now they're saying to their clients, you can have access to portfolios with a range of digital currency, right? And again, Morgan Stanley is one of the biggest investment banks in the US. They are overseas. They're certainly in Australia. They have a lot of private advisors that sell debt and equity to their clients. But with their Morgan Stanley E-Trade platform, they're going to offer Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana in the first half of 2026, partnering with zero hash for liquidity and custody services. And again, it's a great story. Crypto exchange KuCoin hit with record anti-money laundering penalties here in Canada. KuCoin, again, was slapped over the hand by the regulator for anti-money laundering. But 14 million is not a lot of money when we look at, say, Ripple that had to pay the SEC, 125 mil. And when you consider it under the Gensler regime, they wanted, something like 4.7 billion or something, right? Japan emerges as APAC's fastest growing crypto market in a 2025 report, right? And this is what I'm saying. Asia is amazing, right? Asia is really taking off. And, there's a lot more going on in Asia than there is in the US, even though crypto seems to be very US-centric. The Asian countries, in terms of population, have really gone into crypto in a big way and are growing. The investors and the client base is growing a lot quicker. We've just been through that story there. So, also Millennium Capital aims to raise 58.5 million for a Bitcoin treasury. Again, we're seeing this everywhere. This is a French investment firm. It's raising 50 million euro for a Bitcoin treasury, the first of its kind in Europe. We're getting more and more corporations doing this. Now, you got to ask yourself what happens when Bitcoin runs out, right? That's when you're going to see the lofty moves in Bitcoin that Brian Armstrong's talking about by 2030 being at $1 million per unit. Anthony Hayes from BitMEX is talking $3.8 million of Bitcoin per unit by 2030, right? And yet we're seeing more and more companies globally buying Bitcoin as a corporate strategy, right? To use their cash holdings and to buy Bitcoin where the return is going to be higher if Bitcoin goes up, clearly, right? This is a private investment firm, so they're positioning themselves as Europe's first private model with funds fully allocated to Bitcoin assets, right? Another great positive story for Bitcoin. Nine European banks to launch MiCA, which is Markets in Cryptocurrency, Euro Stablecoin 2026. Again, this is big too because it's getting the Europeans ready for cryptocurrency, okay? And this is going to be under Dutch supervision, right? The Dutch central bank has been against cryptocurrency, and now they're actually going to, regulate a euro stable coin under, and regulate the 9 European banks that are going to use the stable coin, right? And that's a good thing as well. It's a consortium of 9 different banks that will, talk to each other and operate under the markets in cryptocurrency assets regulation. Also, TradeStar becomes the first perpetual exchange to launch equities on Avalanche. Again, it's a decentralized perpetual exchange built on Avalanche, announced, excuse me, that they launched equities trading on chain, becoming the first perpetual platform to bring global stocks into the Avalanche ecosystem. Excuse me. And this is about tokenization, right? So you don't have to buy a stock worth $2,000, on the Dow or on the Nasdaq. That stock gets tokenized or broken up into smaller bits, and then you can buy $10 and get so small exposure to the stock without having to spend $1,000 or $2,000. Now, but Binance Chain Validators moved to halve gas fees with new proposal. Again, Binance is becoming more and more competitive. We've seen that with Tron, with the review I did. They're writing a lot of fees, and they want to, get their global footprint out there, get more and more clients. And this is one way of doing it, okay, by reducing your fees and becoming more competitive than the other exchanges out there. Let me just have a cup of coffee. Excuse me. Oh. So they're all doing it boost their competitiveness, right? And that doesn't surprise me. They want to increase their on-chain activity, even though their on-chain activity is incredible. They want to update and boost scalability. They want to increase their transactions per second. They want to offer their validators incentives and cut transaction spam. Okay, Binance has had an impressive performance, I have to say. But, looking to reduce fees by another 50% is quite incredible because they want to, get more of that market share. Now, Binance's market share over, say, a year is anything from 56% to 75%, right? So they're in a very, very aggressive position. Now, Franklin Templeton expands Benji platform to Binance Chain. And Franklin Templeton's huge, the biggest investment bank in the US, has something like nearly $2 trillion of assets under management. So we're not talking about a small company here or a small client for Binance, right? Combining regulatory compliance with low-cost, high-speed infrastructure. FOBXX mutual fund backed by Benji tokens has 742 assets under management and 51 million in dividends distributed. Tokenized growth across chains, but regulatory clarity and liquidity concentration remain challenges. So a great story, right? Another story there. Binance Chain gets Griffin AI tool for chat DeFi, for chat controlled DeFi. Another very good story for Binance as well. Now we see another company adopting Chainlink's proof of reserves, and obviously they're integrating Chainlink's proof of reserves. And this new integration helps institutional investors and issuers access transparent, real-time proof of reserve data for crypto-backed financial products. And it's called Crypto Finance, owned by Deutsche Börse, which is the German stock exchange, has integrated Chainlink proof of reserves for transparent on-chain verification of assets. The solution allows real-time public reserve data for next asset physically backed Ethereum and Bitcoin exchange traded placements on Arbitrum via Chainlink oracles. I mean, this is a super story for Chainlink, right? I mean, the Deutsche Börse, the German stock exchange is huge, right? Crypto Finance, a Frankfurt-based digital asset solution provider owned by Deutsche Börse, today integrated and announced the integration of Chainlink and proof of reserves to enable on-chain verification of custody assets for exchange-traded products. I mean, that's amazing, right? The integration allows Next assets physically backed Ethereum and Bitcoin and exchange-traded products to display reserve data publicly through Chainlink's Oracle network on Arbitrum. The system uses Chainlink runtime environment to publish real-time custody information accessible to issuers, custodians, and exchanges. And that's the name of the game, okay? When we talk about crypto, you want verification, you want decentralization, but you want verification so that it is public, so that what the assets are that the company is holding in terms of proof of reserves. It's as simple as that. And how to price those proof of reserves, right? And that's what Chainlink does. And that's why Chainlink is so amazing. And that's why it is so cheap for where it is, right? Now, Cardano Foundation, we don't own Cardano, but I keep an eye on it. Foundation unveils new roadmap aiming for mass adoption. Again, I'm not a great lover of Cardano, I have to tell you that. The Cardano Foundation had released a 6-point roadmap that that reorientates resources towards decentralized finance, Web3 integrations, real-world assets, marketing, and deeper government decentralization, framing the plan as the next phase of its adoption strategy. This came out on the 2023, September the 23rd, I should say, and signed by the CEO. The plan concentrates on liquidity standards and organizational focus, areas that the foundation says will shape efforts in the near to midterm. All great and good, but the reality is I never see any clients that Cardano put on or anything. So, I'm not a great believer. There's another story here. Read Chainlink. Solstice announced a strategic collaboration with Chainlink and leading custody and venture firms to enhance ecosystems ahead of the USX stablecoin launch. Again, another great client for Chainlink, right? They're using Chainlink. And they're using Chainlink's ecosystem for a standard Oracle platform, which offers security in terms of pricing assets, shows proof of reserve, shows thorough put, is publicly available to all, and also it has absolute security in terms of the Chainlink system itself. Chainlink joins forces with CAN Institutional Blockchain for enhanced connectivity. Again, another integration with Chainlink. That's 3 clients in a day they're put on it. And we know that Chainlink's putting on 2 to 3 clients every day. Canton Network, an institutional blockchain backed by major financial technology players, has expanded its collaboration with Chainlink, a leading decentralized Oracle provider. The integration aims to bolster trust and interoperability for institutional-grade blockchain applications, signaling growing momentum in a mainstream adoption of blockchain technology across traditional finance and DeFi sectors. Amazing. Canton Network supports, wow, that's big. Canton Network supports 6 trillion assets with backing from giants like Microsoft, Goldman Sachs, and BNP Paribas, which is a French bank, one of the biggest banks in France. So, that's a terrific story for Chainlink, right? I mean, honestly, these guys are putting on so many clients, it's not funny. And yet it's still at, $20. It's just nuts, right? This crowd Canton Network is integrating Chainlink's data services and would have to pay Chainlink for their technology, right? It's as simple as that. And that's what it's about. Rex Osprey unveils first Ethereum staking ETF amid cooling investor appetite. And that's just happened. Hasn't been as successful as the XRP one because the market's starting to sell off, okay? We'll have to see where this market goes. I will do some technicals on the market today. Honeycomb Protocol acquires Solana Lab game shift platform. We're going to see more acquisitions of different coins and different Web3 and different layer 1s and 2s. And it's simply where the market is going. Pitel Corporation launch a Solana digital asset treasury with 100 million financing facility, which will focus on yield and on-chain innovation. Now, Digital Corporation's an Australian corporation, interesting enough, and they're in health, right? And they're actually a gym, which I thought was interesting. Gym, fitness equipment and health solutions announced it has secured a $100 million facility to support the launch of the Solana treasury strategy. I mean, crikey, if you're getting fitness equipment and health companies going into crypto, you can see where this is going to go, people, in the bigger picture, right? Absolutely. You've got to step back, from the price action and see the bigger picture of where crypto is going to go. It's obvious to me, but it's going to take more time than just a week or a month, right? They highlighted the DeFi yield roadmap designed to generate outside yields by deploying Solana assets across a diverse suite of on-chain DeFi and derivative strategies. This includes structured products such as options, snowballs, and on-chain liquidity provisioning, and other highly liquid strategies which manage downside risk. Each approach offers varying level of returns, alpha generation, duration. That's very interesting. A company that is into fitness equipment and health solutions is going more into cryptocurrency trading and investments. Wow. Each approach offers very level returns, generation, alpha generation, and duration. Returns generated will be reinvested in the Treasury Reserve, compounding the velocity of SOL accumulation, increasing SOL per share, and strengthening alignment with the Solana community. Wow, that's quite incredible. I've got to tell you that. I think that's an amazing story. Solana open interest hits 72 million. Why is the price falling? Well, clearly, if the open interest is long and the market's going down, we're going to see the price fall. Hashtag wins approval to add XRP, Solana, and Stellar to its crypto index. Again, that's always a good thing and a positive thing, because if something's added to an index and someone follows that particular index, the fund manager, then they generally will buy XRP, Solana, and Stellar. What else we got here? Ripple new off ramp for BlackRock. We mentioned that, and Van Eyck tokenized fund. Another good story. Ripple and DeFi, they've got a new roadmap app talking about getting more and more into DeFi and expanding their DeFi role. Also, what else we got? XRP. There's been a lot of conventions re XRP and the community. And there's one going on at the moment in Seoul, and it's got participants of 3,000 participants in 40 different countries in the world. And XRP DeFi gets major boost on as Flare XRP goes live. Now, Flare was an airdrop a couple of years ago. They airdropped the token, I think, at 4 cents, but it's traded around 2 cents for some time and didn't do a lot. So I advised clients at that time to sell it at 4 cents, but we'll have to see how that goes, that one. Full list of regulatory partnerships after XRP regulatory win against the SEC, and I thought that was interesting. BNY Mellon, Hidden Road, Dubai Land Development Control, Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce. BNY Mellon is one of the oldest banks in the US, and it's a very, very large bank. Dubai Land Management don't know much about, but Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce is a fairly large bank in Canada, okay? And SBI, Remit and SBI, they've been a partnership with Ripple for some time, and they're a very large Japanese bank. So they are expanding. Also in South Korea, they're looking to expand quite a bit. And if you look at Asia, XRP is used quite a bit in Asia. As I said, there's a hackathon in Seoul, and it concludes with 30 teams showcasing their innovation. Hackathons are always good because they test to see, white hackers, whether they can actually hack the system of XRP. Even though the price of XRP has gone down and Solana, there has been heavy accumulation by whales according to weekly inflows. And that might be why we're seeing a bit of sell down, because there has been heavy accumulation. XRP launches its first native stablecoin, a historic milestone. I think that was interesting. And what was this native coin called? It's a turning point. Let's have a look at this story for a sec. I'll have to have a bit of a read of this one. This is to do with the flare system. So it's uh, FXRP. And Flair was supposed to come out with this some time ago, and clearly they've only just done it now. So that's a good story. It's going to encourage, obviously, the trading the XRP and the investment in XRP. So it's a good story for XRP. It means that the coin's going to be more liquid also. And, it just depends on how many users Flare has as well. I don't think a lot of people use Flare. I don't know whether it's been a great initiative or not, but certainly putting XRP on there as a stable coin will help with liquidity and transparency. Anyway, guys and girls, that's all I want to say today. I hope you're well. Thank you very much for listening. I'll talk to you soon, and let's see where this market goes. I will look at the technicals today as well. So watch out for those as well. Thanks very much. Thank you.